All right, everybody, welcome to our Jambalaya demo for next week. Currently, I have all of our mise en place pulled out, and in front of us, I have my recipe right in front of me, taped to my cupboard so that I can review it during the cooking process. So let's go ahead and make sure that we have everything that we need. First, we need our chicken thigh meat, which is right here. We have our shrimp right there. We have our andouille sausage, which is a Cajun style sausage. So we have that right here. We have our onion, our green bell pepper, our garlic that we need. Our diced tomato right here is our diced tomato. Canned diced tomato seems to work better because it does have more flavor. Canned tomatoes are, well, the tomatoes themselves are picked when they're ripe, and then they are processed and canned. So unlike a lot of grocery store tomatoes that are picked while they're immature and then allowed to ripen during the shipping process, canned tomatoes are, I think, a better choice. We have our long grain rice, okay, right here, 1.5 cups. We have our chicken broth or chicken stock. I use a lot of times this organic chicken broth, low sodium. And then we have our herbs and spices that we need over here as well too. Our salt, our pepper, paprika, cayenne pepper, bay leaves, and dried thyme. And they're all located there. So, oh, and I think I forgot the celery, and our celery is right there. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. First step first, washing our hands. So I'm just gonna step out of the camera view for a moment. And I'm going to wash my hands. There we go. Okay, nice and clean. Got a nice side towel. Okay. Try not to, remember, wipe your hands on your uniform. So, just like we did last week, we're going to get all of our mise en place done first. Get everything ready so that the cooking process just kind of flows naturally from one ingredient to the next. So just like we did last week, we're going to cut our vegetables first. That way we don't have to go through the process of cleaning and sanitizing our board in between the shrimp, the chicken, the andouille, and then the vegetables. So it'll save us a little bit of time. First one is an onion. So I have just a basic yellow onion that I'm going to cut. So first, we're going to remove both root ends and the top. So what I kind of consider the North Pole and the South Pole of the onion. And we're going to go ahead and peel this onion, removing the skin. There we go. Okay, I can see that there's a little blemish right here on a part of my onion, so I want to remove that part once I get this peeled. There we go. Okay. So get rid of our onion peeling. All right. So as you can see, there's a small little bruise or indentation in that onion. So I'm going to get rid of that. I'm going to first cut it in half, and then I'm just going to trim that little part away so we don't have it. Okay. So, when I'm dealing with onions, I like to place the cut side down on the board. That way, hopefully, it'll minimize any crying that might happen from, the strong aroma from an onion. So, I'm going to place it, and now this time for the onion, I'm just going to come straight down, 90 degrees, and cut the onion into half moon shapes. Then I'm going to turn it sideways, and I'm going to cut every 1/4 inch going down so that we have what resembles a small dice. So right there, and of course the other half. So about every 1/4 inch straight down, creating again what would resemble a half moon shape. And turn it sideways, and every 1/4 inch. Personally, I think this is a lot of onion, so I don't know if I'm going to use quite all this onion. In this recipe, I may choose to save a portion of it for my next demo. So I'm just going to take my onion and I'm going to place my onion inside my bowl. And I think that's about it. Realistically, I think I'm only going to use about half of that onion. And I'll save the other half for another demo. Okay. So we'll set that off to the side. Okay. So we have our onion diced. Okay. Now we can go, and our next one is our celery. Okay. So celery. As you can see, there is dirt. Okay, that does grow in the, well, not grow, but is present in the ribs of the celery. So please make sure that you wash your celery. Get any dirt off, which I've done. Okay. And now I'm going to trim these down a little bit. I want to take a little bit of this end off here, and I'm going to take a little bit of that other end off as well too. So trim both ends up a little bit. Now those ends could be saved if you were going to do anything like make chicken stock or a chicken broth. Those would be a nice addition to the chicken bones to add some nice flavor to your stock or broth. All right, so now we have our celery. It's trimmed, it's been washed. I'm going to cut it into smaller pieces that are more manageable. Sorry, I got to move those onions out of the way. They're making me cry. All right, that should do it. All right, so now I want something of a small dice on the celery. So for the celery, these little portions right here, I'm going to split those in half, okay, just like that, and that should be good. On some of these bigger ones, wider ones, the bottom portion, I may go ahead and cut into thirds, okay, because I want all my celery to be about the same size as the onions and ultimately the bell peppers, which will be about 1/4 of an inch, okay. Always, again, remember to keep your fingers tucked back on your guide hands. So, just like that. Now, if I do see or notice that one's a little wider, I can cut it down a little smaller. That one may be a little smaller as well. You be the judge. It's your dish. If you like them a little smaller, certainly you can cut them a little smaller. That's pretty good. Okay. So I certainly can't work with this whole pile, so I'm only going to do a couple at a time. Or I should say a few at a time for me. And again, just about 1/4 of an inch going now in the opposite direction. So we want our celery to be approximately that size right there. Here's one I think is a little big, so I'm going to trim that one down as well. Okay, so continue to cut, again, down and forward, using your opposite hand to guide the knife down, keeping those fingers tucked back. There's that. Okay, and one more little pile for me. Again, I want you to do what you feel comfortable with. If it's a matter of just doing 2 or 3, then just do 2 or 3. Just make sure that they're uniform. That's the most important thing. You want the onions, the carrot, or the onions and the celery, not carrots, that was last week. You want the onions, the celery, and the bell pepper to be about the same size. So there's my celery. And I'm going to put my celery down right here, right next to my onions. Okay, the next one now is our green bell pepper. So now we have our green bell pepper. Nice green bell peppers. Really nice one at the store. Nice and fresh. So I've previously washed it and dried it. So now I'm just going to trim the sides down. So I'm just going to take and just trim all the sides down, plus the bottom. And we're going to remove the white portion known as the pith. Always, again, be careful. Cut away from yourself. So always cut away. And if you need to, use a smaller knife. Use a paring knife or maybe a small utility style chef's knife, but never cut in towards yourself. And one more. Okay. Good. All right, so now we want to cut our bell peppers. Yeah, let's move those over here. The same way. So approximately 1/4 of an inch. Okay. Approximately 1/4 of an inch. Okay. We'll just set that off to the side for now. Now, same with the celery. I want to do just enough that I feel comfortable with. So I've got about 4 or 5 here, and I'm cutting them the same size as my onions and my celery. There we go. Okay. That's too many, Philip. All right. So now we have a bell pepper. Whoops, forgot the little bottom. I always like to use the bottom as well too. No part of it needs to go to waste. And if you have a composting in your backyard, use the leftover seeds and stuff to compost. Okay, so now I have my bell pepper as well too. Okay, so this is what's referred to as the Cajun Trinity. You've got onions, celery, bell peppers, and we're also going to add some garlic here, but this is kind of the cornerstone to a lot of southern Louisiana Cajun and Creole style, I guess, cuisine is the onions, the celery, and the bell pepper. So now we have those ready. Next thing I'm going to do is my garlic. Now I know that the recipe calls for 3 cloves of garlic. I'm only going to use 2, and that's just a personal choice for me. I like garlic, but I don't like too much garlic, and for me 3 would just be a little over the top. So I'm only going to do 1 or 2. Get this peeled. So again, just like last week, you know, I used the flat end, right? Flat end of my knife, kind of give it a little tap, kind of break that husk and peel that skin. So now we've got our garlic peeled, and now we're going to mince it. I like to remove the little root end of the garlic clove. Okay, and now I'll go ahead and mince the garlic. Okay, so just nice thin slices. Create my pile, and then just continue to rock the knife back and forth. Just gather it up periodically, rock back and forth. forget to gently and carefully wipe off your knife if the garlic starts to stick to it. So, just like in our last demo, okay, nice small pieces of garlic. All right. So now I've got my garlic done. I'm gonna wash my hands. Okay. All right. Next thing, just to get prepped, we're gonna go ahead and open our can of diced tomatoes. And just gonna set those off to the side. Name brand honestly is not important. Whatever you have is fine. That's just what I had in my house. And probably and truthfully what was on sale at the grocery store when I bought them, because I am not brand specific. Okay, I'm gonna spray down my board. This is Purell surface sanitizer that I have. It works on plastic, metal, wood. Now I'm at home right now. This is what I use at home, is wood. I just like it. But I understand that in the professional kitchen, plastic dominates. Okay. So first we'll cut our sausage. Okay, so we have our sausage there. And we're going to cut the sausage into little rings or rondelles. Okay, so just take and cut down and forward, cutting it into little coin or ring shapes about 1/4 of an inch thick.